What's up, nerds? My name's Enket. I worked for many years as a stand-up comic, and now I work for an agency where I help other comics find work on cruise ships. In my spare time, I've had a lot of fun with this channel, making videos about TaleSpire, RPGs, and I would eventually like to start talking about comedy too. If any of that sounds cool to you, I would appreciate the sub. Alright, let's talk about combat in TaleSpire. First off, let's talk about the browser extension Beyond the Spire. It transfers all your roles from D&D Beyond into TaleSpire automatically, so if you've set up encounters in D&D Beyond and want to use the stat blocks there, then this window will allow your players to communicate their roles directly into TaleSpire. The only issue here is that the extension communicates the role, not the result, meaning your players will see one number in D&D Beyond and another will be displayed in-game. And that can be kind of a bummer if you've decided ahead of time to take one set of roles over another, because nobody likes seeing bigger numbers that they can't use.
Well done! Well done!
Once you're more confident with DMing and running combat scenarios, here's a few tips that I use that allow me to run everything in TaleSpire without needing yet another browser tab open. I'm going to show you all of these without any mods for TaleSpire so that anybody can use them. All of your players will have to be in TaleSpire to use these tips, so if you're running TaleSpire with a single copy and streaming it, this is not going to be that useful for you. I'm sorry. For the map that your combat encounter is going to happen in. Maybe you've made one yourself, maybe you're struggling for ideas. This is where you can head to Tale Tavern to find a map. It's totally free to use, and you can find thousands of maps for any purpose imaginable, with no download required as the entire thing is transferred to TaleSpire just by copying it to your clipboard. So search for whatever you want, copy and paste, and then jump right in. Shout out to Genghis. For initiative order, this clicky little fighty doodle right here will let you add everyone just by clicking their mini. Keep in mind that if you have hidden units, they will show up in the initiative order up top, whether they're visible to the players or not, so you might want to add them later. Once the minis are clicked, you can swap the order around appropriately, and when you're back in combat, players will be able to see who's next. Every unit has a stat wheel, and you can rename the stats in the Campaign and Board Settings tab in the top left. Players will be able to see the names of these stats on their own mini, so it's important to keep them as general and vague as you can. For example, don't go typing in number of finger of death uses, because then they're going to know what's coming, and that it's not even the fun type of finger. I use the following set in pretty much every campaign. It lets me roughly keep track of things, and I have stat blocks that I can reference if I need to. First, I use armor class. I know that it's labeled as a blank out of blank, but I like having it here for a quick reference. The second one is to hit. Here I add simple hit and damage modifications, so that I know in my own brain head that if it says 4/3, it means they have a +4 to hit and +3 on their damage. Weapon, because sometimes they have 2. Again, these are just for quick reference in case I forget, so I know that if it says 2 out of 8, that means that it's a 2d8. Spell. They'll usually have more than 2, in which case I use the weapon spots for spellcasters because I'm definitely not using the Blood Mage's Dagger. Resources or uses for pretty much anything can go here for things like breath weapons or spell counters. Hey, did you know that the measurement thing can be locked in place and then even named and colored? I only learned this recently, and this could have saved me a lot of time in the past. Rolling privately. You can drag the dice from this little square here to roll privately. Colored bases can be used to note status effects, so come up with a general system with your players so that they get used to it too. That way things like Bless, Hex, and Hunter's Mark won't be forgotten. Try to use the same color for the same effect every time. And lastly, hidden dangers. Hidden enemies, like I said, show up in the initiative order. Roll their initiative separately or add them into the initiative at the moment they're revealed in order to help keep your players on their toes about hidden dangers. Alright, that's it for the video. I hope it was helpful at least at some point. I hope I got to make you laugh at least at one point. And I'll see you at the next one.